Hey everybody, I am back, and today I am making some food, quote unquote, for my 12th scale dollhouse. And I know there's a lot of videos out there about making, using like a printer and printing stuff off and doing things like that, but I have a laptop, but I don't have access to the internet on it, and two, I don't have a program on my laptop to do that kind of stuff, and three, the only printer I have, I use for our farm business and my upcycling business, and I'm pretty stingy about the ink with it. So when I started working on doll houses, I wanted a hobby that wasn't work, and I didn't want to have to spend a lot of money. So I came up with other ways to do things. And it's not perfect, and it's not, holy cow amazing, but sorry, I had to grab glue. When it's on the shelves in my doll houses and stuff, you can't really tell the difference between this and the other way that a lot of people do things. So what I do is I get mailers or flyers from stores, or in this case, I discovered I had a bunch of coupons that I forgot had expired, and the coupons have all these little pictures on them. That's what this is. Whoops. So the first time I did this, I started cutting them out, and some of the pictures are a lot bigger, like this one. And that's probably actually more of a Barbie size one, but some people shop at Sam's Club or Costco and they get big bags of stuff. So sometimes with a little creative pretend, if I really wanted that for my freezer for the dollhouse, then I would just say they shopped at Sam's Club. But for today, we're going to work with these little ones. The two things that I use for these when I'm doing bags, like chips, and I'm kind of bummed because I already had cut this out and I only could find the green. And then later on when I was digging around looking for something else, I found the blue. But it's okay. Not a big deal. So one of the things I use is these foam sheets. I have a lot of extra because in my business I use them for other things, so I have a lot of scraps. But I do know I see them all the time at the little thrift stores near me. They'll have a big bag of shapes or whatever out of the foam core, or the foam sheets for like $1. And it doesn't really matter what the shape is because you're going to cut it up anyhow. The other thing I use is scraps of foam core board. And I use it for the dollhouses, but I also use it a lot with my businesses for displays and stuff. So I do have a lot of little pieces like this. Another thing when you're doing this is masking tape, which, you can get just about anywhere. I'm pretty sure like Dollar Tree or whatever has it for $1 a roll, which is inexpensive. And then paint. Acrylic craft paint. And the thing with acrylic craft paint that I like is I can get just, the basic colors and then mix them myself and experiment with it that way. So for this video, though, I'm just going to do them really simple because I'm only going to do a few so you get the idea of what we're doing. So you would get these pictures and you would cut them out. And you want to cut them right at it. You don't want to see this little white in the background. And I've already cut some out, but it's like I'm making a little TV dinner. I'm going to make a box of rice-a-roni and then a little bag of chips. And I've already cut these out of this, so I don't need that. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take your piece of foam board that you've cut out. When I do the box stuff like this, I use the foam core. So you're going to take your piece like this, and you're going to take your masking tape. And this is my second video with the, the tripod. So I'm still working on figuring out where everything is lined up at. So you get oh goodness, this is sticky. There we go. Whoops. Maybe not yet. It's ripping off in pieces. There we go. All right. And the reason you're going to use the masking tape is this foam core, those edges, they won't paint. I mean, you can put paint on them, but it just soaks in and you don't get any color to it. And if you don't care about it being, you know, red for the sides and back of the box, then don't worry about it. Just glue it on it and set it up, you know, glue it down on your shelf. But for me, sometimes I don't know, I just want to paint it. So I'm going to take a little piece of your masking tape. I might get lucky. I think I am. That these pieces are small enough that I can line it up and fold it over. I'm going to take my, sorry, I'm still working on how to line all this stuff up. There we go. Snip the edge so it'll lay down. Unless you're like me and you stick it to itself. There we go. And we don't care how uneven this part is because our picture is going to cover it. And we're going to come down here. Oops. And probably not a good idea to hit the tripod with the scissors, but we're working on it. I'm going to fold that. Fold that, and then we're going to fold that up. See, like this. And then we got one corner left to snip. Push that down. And there we go. Whoops. There we go. Excuse the noise outside. It's winter up here, and the snowmobile, we just had a huge snowstorm. Got probably about six plus inches dumped on us. And the snowmobilers are going crazy everywhere. So, after we have that, oops, there we go. I'm going to take my glue. I'm using tacky glue today just because that's what I have on hand. But I have done this before with just a glue stick, and it works just as well. But I can't find my glue stick. Actually, I think I ran out and never bought a new one. But you don't need a lot of glue if you're using tacky glue. There we go. Just kind of smear it around on it. Not a ton, just a little bit. Take your picture and line it back up. And whoops, drop it on there. There, I'm going to let that dry for a second. I'm going to go ahead and do this one right here. I'll pause this for a second so you guys don't have to watch me fumble around with it, and then we'll get back to finishing this up. Alright, so I've got both of those drying for a second. And the reason I picked these two was actually so I could just get away with using just the red to paint the back part of it. I guess being lazy, I don't know. Trying to be quick for the video, really. And then for chip bags, I just take the foam sheet and I cut it a little bit smaller. So I take a pencil and I trace this out on the, I trace this part onto the foam sheet. And then when I cut it out, I cut it on the inside of the pencil line. So it's a little bit smaller than this. But it gives me a little bit of a base so I can use some like museum wax or whatever I'm going to use, glue, whatever, so I can prop it up a little bit, kind of make it look a little, you know, like it's been tossed in the cupboard or whatever I'm going to do. And then for these, I just glue this onto it. Typically, I would try and use foam that's similar in color, but I'd already, like I said earlier, I'd already cut this out before I realized I did have the blue. Oh, well. It's my dollhouse. Nobody's going to... If I don't care, nobody else is going to care. But if you care, and that's up to you, then stick to the same colors. But for now, this will work. And my glue is being difficult today. I will say, when I do the stuff with the foam sheets, I always use tacky glue. The glue stick does not stick to this, and PVA glue does not stick to this either. Now I just gotta make sure I line it up because I think I flipped it around. Now, in the past, and you could probably do it too, when this is all dry, I might take my owl, you know, like a little rounded tool, it's got a little rounded head, and depress into this a little bit. to kind of give it a little shape. But you have to wait till this is completely dry before you do that part. So I'll set that aside. Now I got my paintbrush here. And for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do this quickly. So I might get a little paint on my hands. It's acrylic. It'll wash off. It's not a big deal. But typically what I would do is I would do dozens and dozens of these. That's on this sheet here. And I would do it in like a production line kind of effect. So I would cut all the foam core sheet or board out for each piece and set on it, and then I would go through with masking tape and line it all up, and then I would go through with the tacky glue and glue it down and let it dry overnight, and then I would go back through and like paint all the sides, let it dry. The next day, turn around, paint the backs, let it dry, and then if I needed to touch it up, I would do it then. But for this video, since you guys, I'm sure if you've watched my channel before, know that I don't have any way to edit videos, we're just going to do this quickly. So here's our little box of rice. And a lot of times with these bottles of acrylic paint, you know, you give them a little shake, make sure it's mixed up. For miniature work, there's usually enough paint in the cap when you take it off that you don't have to, you know, use the big bottle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to paint this. Sometimes I'll even put a little paint on the edge, just kind of blend it in a little bit. Hide any of my cut marks. Sorry, I said I'm getting used to using this thing. See the edge of the paper, I'll paint that a little bit. Just to blend it in a little. I try not to get too overboard. Sometimes I do. Then that box ends up in the back of the cupboard where you can't see it that well. And then paint the back of it. But the nice part about this type of acrylic paint is it dries super quick, especially, that's why I moved my table from where I normally work towards the sun, because the sun really makes this dry quickly. Now you can go back over if you want and do, once this is all dried and everything, look it over. If you want to do a second coat, you can do it. See, like this box will probably end up in the back of the cupboard because I got a little hasty and got some paint on it. That's all right. I'll just put that, and we'll flip this one over. A little bit more paint. And see, when you're done, if you, like this one, obviously I didn't get enough paint in that corner, you can always take a little dab of paint and put it in there and let it dry. Put it in your cupboard. Or wherever you're going to display it. You're like this, probably I wouldn't put in the cupboard. I'll probably put it in the freezer. You know, frozen meal. It'll kind of silly in the cupboard. Sorry, I'm not getting this under the thing very well. My bad. Got one little bit to paint. And see, some of this, I don't exactly take it to the edge. There we go. To the edge. I have a little bit behind, so we still get that 3D effect. And we're going to let it dry. And that is how I make food for the cupboards in my dollhouse without spending a fortune. Because I have bought, I think, one of my houses, I don't remember which one, I went through the whole thing of actually going to stores and going to dollhouse auctions and stuff and buying food, and that was expensive. And I couldn't really make my pantry or my cupboards and stuff look full like I want. See, there's my red. Like I wanted it to. And thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick with my way. I like it. I like how it turns out. And I can make as much as I want. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you, you know, expand your creative horizons. The next video for the minis I'm going to do is we're going to take, hold on. We're going to take a tissue box, which is kind of hard to show under this thing. Take a tissue box and some other stuff, and we are going to make plates, big dinner plates, and then the little tinier plates for doll houses. And we're going to take, and again, I didn't pay for like the quilling strips right here. I found them at a thrift store for, I think it was $1.25, and the package was brand new. So look in your thrift stores, look in their craft section. Find stuff that's relatively inexpensive. If you have one of those nifty little cutters, I do not. I imagine you could probably cut this out of cardstock if you wanted to. They're not very, oh, it tells you right. I think I've got it. Oh, there we go. Nope, there it is. That tells you how big the strips are. And then when I bought this, it didn't come with the tool to do it. So I took a shish kebab stick and I made my own. But anyhow, we're going to take these and we're going to make the bowls to match our plates. And then we'll decorate them. And got a few other things for them. And then seal them up. And then you will have little plates for your dollhouse. But anyhow, I think the next video for the feed bag or the upcycling part of everything is going to be, where'd it go? Berry baskets. We'll be making, I think it's quart or pint. I'd have to look again. Berry baskets out of feed bags. But anyhow, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later.